Open sesame. Hi, welcome to Travelogue and welcome to our Jiangsu series. If you mention the name Nanjing to anyone in China, you get this sagely nod of approval. It's the capital city of the Jiangsu Province, but it was also the capital of ancient dynasties that ruled over China. It's a place filled with history, but also intrigue, where emperors ruled over China and where China finally overthrew its emperors. I'm Tianran, and welcome to Nanjing.
Whew, well, that's a load off my chest. All jokes aside, Nanjing makes a good first impression. It's clean, it's green, and best of all, it's not crowded. If you drive around town, it's hard not to be aware that Nanjing was an ancient capital of China. For one thing, its name means southern capital. It's also hard not to notice this huge fortress. It's called the Zhonghua Gate and was built over 600 years ago at the start of the Ming dynasty. Apparently, it's the most complex city gate in the world. And I hear it's also full of surprises.
I bet I scared you, didn't I? I bet you don't know what this is. This was a cave for hiding soldiers, and when enemies from over on the other side of the city wall would survey for weaknesses in Nanjing's defence, they'd look at Zhonghua Gate and they'd see it as relatively undefended. So when they poured in through the entrance, what they didn't know was that there were 27 of these caves that could hide up to 3,000 soldiers who would pour out, surround them, and then do away with them.
As you no doubt know, a gate is usually the weakest link in a city wall's defences. But the clever designers of the Zhonghua Gate used a bit of reverse psychology and made this its strong point.
When the attackers finally made it through, they were in for a surprise. This was actually a fortress, and it had these high-walled courtyards that were basically a trap. Soldiers, defending soldiers, would pour out from these holes at the top and at the bottom and unleash all manners of hell upon them. But if they managed to break through and get through this gate, over here, there were two more waiting for them. So as you can imagine, it was a bit of an impregnable fortress.
If you close your eyes, you can almost smell the gunpowder in the air as soldiers fight to defend their city at Zhonghua Gate. That, or maybe someone's been smoking nearby. Anyway, our next stop is another key Nanjing institution.
And here we are. This is the presidential palace. A place that saw many important events that changed the face of Chinese history forever. And now it's open to the public.
This place started life as the palace of a 14th century Ming prince. It was used as a residence of rulers and officials right up until the year 2000. On its walls, you'll see the portraits of leaders who've occupied this palace. Besides giving you the chance to admire their impeccable dress sense, the paintings take you on a visual journey through every party that's ruled China since the late 19th century. And as you go further in, it's not just the faces that change, but also the architecture.
Ooh, looks pretty good, right? This is the Shu Garden, actually the oldest part of the presidential palace. It was built around 600 years ago in the Ming dynasty and is the oldest part of this place.
It feels like I've stepped back into the Ming dynasty. I hope they don't mind me trespassing. Anyway, make your way to the other side of the garden and you literally enter another era. in this Western-style mansion. China's very first cabinet meeting was held here. It doesn't sound very exciting now, but back then it was a groundbreaking event because up until that point, the emperor's word had been law. With this meeting, the people of China finally found their voice. In Nanjing, you might hear the name Sun Yat-sen attached to roads, ports, and of course statues. So who was he? In short, he was a revolutionary who brought an end to imperial rule in China, and his mausoleum can be found on the east side of town. I got up early to avoid the crowds, but it seems like they're determined to find us.
Man, that's a lot of people. So this is Sun Yat-sen's mausoleum. He was kind of like China's Abraham Lincoln, and this place is actually like Lincoln's memorial in Washington D.C. And this gate is his gate of universal love. So now this place has been made into a free park. You can kind of feel the love in the atmosphere. I know I can.
You'll be surprised by just how many people visit this mausoleum. It gives you a good idea of the respect Sun Yat-sen still commands, even if it does leave you feeling a bit overwhelmed.
Sun Yat-sen was kind of like the saviour of Chinese people because he put an end to a corrupt feudal system that had ruled over China for around 2,000 years and kind of revolved around the emperor. So if you look up there, that is his world famous motto: the world belongs to the public, which is something that has stayed in the hearts of Chinese people ever since. Oh, it's like everyone's here to see him.
At the top of the hill is the actual mausoleum. It's a unique mix of imperial and modern styles, which is symbolic of the changes China went through under Sun Yat-sen. Besides giving you a good workout, the steps leading to the top give you the chance to muse over Sun Yat-sen's ideals, or take some choice photos.
Right, so this is it. Inside is where Sun Yat-sen's buried, and at the top of that mausoleum are his three principles: nationalism, people's livelihoods, and people's rights.
You really get the sense that people's respect for Sun Yat-sen is genuine, and his tomb receives offerings of fresh flowers every day.
Why did you guys come here to see?
Yeah, this is the
Sun Yat-sen.
tomb of Dr. Sun Yat-sen.
Yeah.
And we say that, well, this is like the father of New China.
Oh.
Yeah, and he started the revolution. Although he may not be the one who lead the people to do it, but he really stimulate the people that we should not let the Qing dynasty to continue.
Yeah,
and I think this will make a big change to China. So, and also I think for my kids, he is now studying the modern history of China. So this is also a good education for him as well.
Oh, brilliant!
And I think this area is really nice. You can see there's a mountain.
Yeah, it's a great spot for a mausoleum.
Yeah, it's a great spot.
Once you've seen everything in the mausoleum, there's a pleasant surprise waiting for you just down the hill. This amphitheatre was built as a place where visitors to the mausoleum could come and have a rest. True to form, it's somewhere all the public can enjoy.
I like Nanjing because I was born here.
Yeah.
Locals come here to relax
I was really
and take
surprised
in the
when you said
pleasant
Trafalgar
surroundings.
Square. Man, I love this place. It's pretty incredible. I mean, people come here to rest after they've visited Sun Yat-sen's mausoleum. But this environment's amazing. I mean, sitting down here and watching people have picnics, taking their kids around, you feel this kind of togetherness that I just haven't felt in another city. And this place, I can't recommend it enough. It really is brilliant.
Right, time to head back. One of the things I like about Nanjing is that there are so many trees everywhere. It really makes travelling around an enjoyable experience.
There's a story behind these big camphor trees. They're actually a part of Sun Yat-sen's city plan. And I know it's hard to imagine, but during feudal times, trees were never really for the public. People had always planted them in their own private gardens. But when Sun Yat-sen came around, he extended his idea of everything for everyone to trees, and he had them planted along all of Nanjing's roads so that everyone could share their splendour.
Nanjing was a test site for China's first modern city plan. It introduced zoning, which focused on how land was used. It doesn't sound very impressive now, but you have to remember that for thousands of years, cities were planned to suit the emperor's needs and preferences. But here was a city that finally took the public into consideration. It's a real pleasure to walk around Nanjing's neighbourhoods and check out the buildings built during Sun Yat-sen's time. They're neither Western nor Chinese, but more of a brave combination of both. As such, they're a lasting testament to Sun Yat-sen's vision of a new China. If you get tired of wandering around, I suggest heading to one of Nanjing's much-loved institutions, the Librairie Avant-Garde. It's actually a bookstore housed in an underground car park, and is a popular hub for like-minded people to gather.
Nanjing's progressing a lot, but I also feel like I'm still in China.
Yeah.
You know, like,
So it's more traditional to you?
Sure. I mean, it's an old capital, so it's got all that culture still. You know, I feel people are quite proud here of that culture, and they're just not as cosmopolitan as other cities like Beijing or Shenzhen or Guangzhou or Shanghai, which are nicer. I kind of feel that, yeah, they want to retain their roots, their history, their culture, which, yeah, is nice.
It's quite an interesting thing, isn't it? Because there's a bit of a different vibe here in Nanjing.
When I go to other cities, like, I mean, I'm looking at the old traditional things while all the Chinese people are looking at the big modern 2-year-old building, and I'm like, come on, like, you know, that could be anywhere.
I know what you mean.
I'm a big fan of reading, and for me, a bookstore is more than just a place to buy books. It's an experience. The owner has succeeded in making this place more than just a bookstore. People come here to share ideas, study, meet friends, and relax. It's become a public institution.
I do like this place. It's not just a bookstore. It's kind of like a library, like a place for people to unwind, to take a break from their busy schedule or travelling schedule, sit down with a nice cup of coffee and a good book. Great place to unwind.
Maybe it's the relaxing surroundings or the ambience of the place, but after you sit down, you really don't want to get up again. It's a beautiful morning and I've got up early to visit Cyril Lake. It's in the centre of town and free for all to enjoy. It's also a great place to go to learn what Nanjing means to the locals.
My marching band.
感觉过得很舒服。If you ask nicely, some of these groups might even let you join in.
It's not what they say. I mean, Tai Chi is really not an old people's sport. Look at this, I've got sweat pouring down my face and I've somehow managed to attract loads of flies. But this is, regardless, this was still very good and a great way to exercise, I think. Now, time for the next one.
Cyril Lake used to be the private retreat for the emperor. But as you can see, things are a little different now. Even so, Nanjing is always proud of its heritage.
Right, so let me catch my breath. So you see this sloped bit that I just came up on, and then if you look over there, you can see stairs that lead up to the city wall. The reason that this part is different is because horses used to run up this sloped path to carry messages, important messages to other parts of the city, kind of like an old postal service. Right, so I came up the stairs this way, and then this is why I ran all the way up to get to here. Whoa, it's like the Great Wall of China.
You can find a clue as to why these walls have lasted so long written on the bricks. Believe it or not, every single one has characters on it describing where the brick was made and who made it. An ancient form of quality control.
Wow, so what a nice view. This is, even though the city wall has been around for 400 years since the Ming dynasty, the actual area that it's sitting on, Taichung, has been around since 1600 years ago, since the start of the southern dynasties. And this place used to be the back garden of emperors. And this lake here, the Yatsen Lake, was a private getaway, a place for them to come here and relax.
Luckily for us, many of Nanjing's attractions are in the vicinity of Yatsen Lake. We can even see our next destination from the wall.
Right, so I've got my ticket to the Jiming Temple. It's right next to Yatsen Lake. And about 1600 years ago, Buddhism really took off in China. And during that time, there was a massive boom in building temples. So this one that we're going to now actually was considered to be the most important one during that time.
Jiming Temple looks a bit different to others I've visited. It almost looks imperial, like something you'd find in the Summer Palace. It's most likely because emperors used to visit regularly. I hear one particularly devout emperor even stayed here as a monk. In southern China, praying at temples is quite common with the younger generation. In the past, emperors might have come here to pray for wealth, power, and good health. Nowadays, people come here to pray for, well, pretty much the same thing, really. Some things never change.
This is pretty incredible. It's like you've got thousands of Buddhas staring at you. Feels like you're really in the presence of something really spiritual, really humbling. I think Jiming Temple is a bit different to the other temples I've been to. It's got this really kind of energetic and open feel to it. And once you climb to the top of this pagoda, and you look out at the rest of Nanjing, you realise that it's a really lively and vibrant city, and that this temple is kind of there to celebrate this atmosphere.
Time to head back to Yatsen Lake. If you come here in the evening, you'll see a completely different side to the park.
A lot of people walk or jog down Yatsen Lake, as you can see, but they've actually got these really nice electric, what are they called, carts? Yeah, these electric carts that take you around. I think a really interesting thing about Nanjing, about Yatsen Lake actually, is that when you're inside, you can see this really modern world around you. You see all of these, look at that massive skyscraper over there. But inside it feels really peaceful. So it's like you've entered a kind of oasis within the city. Right now, we're going to go to a very special place, a very cool restaurant, actually looking out at the Yatsen Lake, kind of like an emperor. This is dining in style. 来，开始。
松南记，江南记，南京的放野上的花艺，赵明太子在学武术，苏公子在学武术，秋九的胡锦在学武术，新锐童都在学武术。
These ladies are performing something called Baiju. It's a type of opera 600 years old that you'll only find in Nanjing. They usually sing about everyday life, and it's their skill in improvisation that is the secret to their popularity.
What better way to enjoy the capital of 6 dynasties than to sit by Yatsen Lake in a pavilion that used to belong to a prince. Enjoy.
The setting is ancient, but the food is most definitely contemporary.
So, this one is, well, we've got 2 bowls here. One is a famous Yuhua stone of Nanjing, and the other one is a nice dessert. So it's a good way to test and see if you're actually intelligent enough to be an emperor.
I feel like I've relived Nanjing's entire history over the past few days, and I've come away with a better understanding of why people hold this city in such high esteem. All in all, it's been a great end to the first leg of our tour in Nanjing. So make sure you stay tuned to Travelogue for part 2 of our trip around this wonderful city.